Greetings, peculiar ones. Greetings, Holy Nation. I welcome you to Divine Radiance. Those that are tuning in for the first time, I warmly welcome you to Divine Radiance channel. Please click subscribe, like, dislike, share, and comment. I would love to hear from you. Um, we are continuing with our lesson of Thomas. Thomas was a disciple of Jesus Christ, and very little has been said about him in the Bible. We know him as the doubting Thomas. He's known as that disciple that didn't believe that Jesus Christ really resurrected. And it is you know, what happened with Jesus Christ was something that had never happened before. So I don't even blame Thomas for doubting, even though Jesus Christ had told him that he was going to be killed and he was going to um, rise from the dead. Still, it wasn't easy to believe because it was something that has never happened. It was something that was out of this world during that time. So we are continuing with the lesson of Thomas. And another thing is that the reason why I am doing these books, though I can see that there's a lot of, pushback from the kingdom of darkness, if I may put it that way, because I have learned that the wicked you is not sending out notifications to people anymore. That is seen on the reduction of the views. And it's even seen, at one time I went to this YouTube channel, and then I checked the numbers, and I was so shocked that the subscribers of these channels during that time they were 342, but when you go to the actual channel, you only see about 92 or 93 in any case. So even the numbers that they show, like the views, they might not be a true reflection. And the reason why they are doing this, it is so that the children of God will get discouraged, because I'm not the only person that they are doing this to. Even with those, big names that we know, profound names that we know, they are doing the same thing. And my channel is still quite new and quite small, so they are trying by all means to paralyze it. But I will not dwell into that. I will continue do what God has called me to do, regardless of what they are doing. So we are continuing with the lessons of Thomas. We are doing Act 2, the second act of Thomas. During our previous lessons, just to recap, Thomas was sold by Jesus Christ. When you give your life to Jesus Christ, you say, Jesus Christ, be the master, be the Lord of my life. Your life is not yours anymore. It is Jesus Christ's life. And you have no say, because Jesus Christ sold him to King Gundaferus without Thomas's consent. He actually refused to go to India. He didn't want to go to India. He didn't like India at all. He was willing to be sent anywhere in the world except India. So Jesus Christ just signed the memorandum of understanding, excuse me, with the merchant, and then Judas Thomas was sold. And then he went to India, and then we saw miraculous things that he did there in India, when they had taken a rest with that merchant. they went to the wedding because the king had given an instruction that everyone should attend the wedding. If you don't attend the wedding, you were going to face the fury of the king. So he was forced to go to the wedding. Then he went there, and then when he got there, this man, the cupbearer, hit him because this Hebrew girl was dancing in front of Thomas for a very long time, and the cupbearer must have gotten jealous that why is this girl dancing in front of him? He's not even from India, because I'm sure he must have looked different. So this cupbearer got very jealous, and then he hit Thomas. And Thomas said that, the very same hand that you hitting me with, we're going to see it being dragged by dogs. And before the end of the day, the hand was already being dragged by dogs. Those were some of the miracles that the apostles of Jesus Christ did. And these things have been hidden. And I believe that these things have been hidden so that we would not know our power, so that we would not know the authority that we have over the kingdom of darkness. Because what I've learned is that the kingdom of darkness is more feared than people fear the kingdom of Christ, than the people fear the kingdom of heaven. Because we have been, there's information that has been hidden from us. We do not know our power, we do not know our authority. So I believe that these books should have made it into the Bible. I believe that because they are very profound. So I'm continuing with the second act of Thomas without wasting a lot of time. My introduction has been long already. Now, when the apostle arrived into the cities of India with Abanes the merchant, Abanes went to salute the king Gondophares and reported to him of the carpenter whom he had brought with him. So now they had left the place where the wedding was, and then they arrived now at the king's home. And then the mentioned named Abanes went to introduce in fact, to tell the king that he has arrived with the slave that the king wanted to come and build his palace. And the king was glad and commanded him to visit him. So when he arrived to the king said to him, "What craft do you understand?" The apostle said to him, "The craft of carpentering and of building." The king said to him, "What craftsman then do you know in wood, and what in stone?" The apostle said, "In wood it's plows, yokes, gourds, pulleys, and boats, and oars, and masts, and in stone, pillars, temples, and courthouses for kings." So now Thomas was telling the king about the experience that he has, and seemingly he was a very educated man, because for you to be able to do these things, you have to be educated. So he didn't lack education. And the king said, "Can you build me a palace?" And he answered, "For you I can both build and furnish it, for to this end I am come to build and to do the work of a carpenter." I like the way Thomas is talking here. And the king took him and went out of the city gates and began to speak with him on the way concerning the building of the courthouse and of the foundations, how they should be laid, until they came to the palace, wherein he desired that the building should be. And he said, "Here is where I wish the building should be." And the apostle said, "Yes, this place is suitable for the building." But the area was woody, and there was much water there. So the king said, "Then begin to build." But he said, "I can't begin to build now at this season." And the king said, "When can you begin?" And he said, "I will begin in the month of Darius and finish in Xanthicus. But the king marveled and said, "Every building is built in summer, and can you in this very winter build and make ready a palace?" And the apostle said, "Yes, thus it must be, and no otherwise is it possible." And the king said, "If these then seem good to you, draw me a plan how to work, how the work shall be, because I shall return here after some long time." So now that they had seen the place where the palace was going to be built, and then the king asked Thomas to draft the plan, because the king was going to be out of town for a very long time. So he wanted to have the plan, see how the palace is going to be, how is it going to be finished, and then leave. So, and the apostle took a reed and drew, measuring the palace and the doors. He set toward the sun rising to look toward the light, and the windows toward the west to the breezes, and the bakehouse he pointed to be toward the south, and the aqueduct for the service toward the north. And the king saw it and said to the apostle, Verily, you are a craftsman, and it belittles you to be a servant of kings." And he left much money with him and departed from him. So now the king here said that it belittles Thomas to serve the kings with the experience that he had. What I've learned with Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter what education you have, it doesn't matter what experience you have, it doesn't matter the accolades that you have. Once you surrender your life to Him as your master, as your king, you have no say over your life anymore. Your education doesn't matter anymore. Your accolades, your experience, your work experience, your businesses, your whatever it is, doesn't matter. When Jesus Christ calls you to do something, you will do it, liking it or you don't like it. You will send the message out there, liking it or not liking it. And even when people don't like what you say, Jesus Christ has sent you to say it, you must say it. And whether people like you or whether people don't like you, you must say what Jesus Christ say you must say. You must do what Jesus Christ say you must say. So this is how it goes in the kingdom of God. There are things as the child of God that you wouldn't want to say. You wouldn't want to even stand in front of people and say certain things. But when Jesus Christ says, go and say it, when Jesus Christ says, go and do it, you have no choice but to do it. Like Thomas. Thomas didn't want to go to India. He didn't want to be there, but he was forced. Jesus Christ signed the memorandum of understanding with the merchant on behalf of Judas Thomas. And Thomas made it very clear that Jesus Christ, I don't want to go there. Send me anywhere except India. But Jesus Christ forced him. He forcefully sent him there because he signed the memorandum of understanding without his consent. And now the king left Thomas with much money and he departed from him. So he left Thomas with much money to build the palace, to buy the material, to do everything that is needed. And from time to time, he sent money and provision and victual for him and the rest of the workmen. So now the king, he departed, he went to wherever he wanted to go because he was supposed to be out of town. And then he left so much money with Thomas. And from time to time, he will send money to go on with the building and to even pay the people that were supposed to be working in the building of the palace of the king. But Thomas, receiving it, spent it all. This is how Thomas did it. He spent it all. You know, as a child of God, as a child of Yahweh, as the child of Yeshua, the things that we do at times, there are things that are not acceptable to the world that we live in. So sometimes we seem to be, weird, if I may put it that way, because when the world is going to the left, we are not going to the left, we're going to the right. When they're going backwards, we're not going backwards, we're going forward. And the things that we do, they are not the same as the world does. So this is what Thomas did. He took the money that the king had given him and he spent it all, going about the cities and the villages round about, distributing and giving alms to the poor and afflicted, and relieving them, saying, "The king knows how to obtain rewards fit for kings, but at this time it is needful that the poor should have refreshments." So he didn't spend it on himself. He spent it on the poor. He spent it on the people that God has sent him to minister to. And after these things, the king sent an ambassador to the apostle and wrote this: "Signify to me what you have done so far, or what I shall send you, or of what you have need." And the apostle sent to him, saying, "The palace is built, and only the roof still remains to be done." So this is what Thomas said, that the roof is the only thing that needs to be done, but the palace is being built now. But there was no palace. Thomas didn't build the palace. He took the money and he spent it onto the people that he was ministering to, the people that didn't have food, the people that were sick, the people that needed it the most. He spent it there. He didn't build the palace for the king. And and the king, hearing it, sent him again gold and silver, and wrote to him, "Let the palace be roofed, if it is done." And the apostle said to the Lord, "I thank you, Lord." Um, After Thomas received the money, the gold and silver from the king, he didn't thank the king, he thanked the Lord. "Oh Lord, in all things, you did die for a little space so that I might live forever in you. And you have sold me so that through me you might set free many." So now Thomas understood why Jesus Christ sold him as a slave to King Condephorus. He began to understand his calling, that he was called to set many people free in India. And he never stopped to teach and to explain to the afflicted, saying, "The Lord has dispensed to you, and he has given to every man his food. For he is the provider of the orphans, stewards of the widows, and to all whom are afflicted, he is relief and rest." So, as Thomas was ministering to people, he was telling them that God has given to them. As he was busy spending the money that the king had given him, he was telling the people that the Lord has given to them. I'm looking for the car keys. It's getting really hot in here. I don't know where the key is at. Oh, it's in here. Sorry about that.
On 5, let's get your traffic quickly.
Sorry about that. That was the radio. So Thomas continued to spend the king's money. And now, when the king came to the city, he inquired of his friends concerning the palace which Judas Thomas was building for him. And they told the king, "Neither has he built a palace nor done anything else. of that he promised to perform, but he goes about cities and countries, and whatsoever he has, he gives to the poor and teaches of a new God. He heals the sick and drive out devils and do many other wonderful things. We think of him to be a sorcerer. So this is what the friends of the king told Thomas. They said that we haven't seen any palace that he has built. What you have seen him do is going out preaching of a new god. You remember that in India they serve their idols there. Even till today they still do that. So they worship the gods that were made out of hand. And now Thomas came there with a new god, with teachings of a new god. So they thought of him as being a sorcerer. All the while they are the ones that are sorcerers, you know. So now they told him that no, there's no palace that has been built here. Yet his compassion and his cures, which are done by him, is for free. Moreover, the simplicity and kindness of him and his faith do declare that he is a righteous man or an apostle of this new God whom he preaches. So now the works of Thomas were talking for him. He didn't have to say anything. People that were there, the friends to the king, they saw the works and they said that he is a righteous man of God, of the new God that he preaches. For he fasts continually and prays, eats bread only with salt, and his drink is water. He wears only but one garment, both in fair weather and in winter, and receives nothing for himself from any man. That which he has, he gives to others. Okay, that which he has, he gives to others. And when the king heard all this, he rubbed his face with his hands and shook his head for a very long time. I will be furious too. Who does what Thomas did? Who does that? Who takes somebody's money and gives it to the poor and gives it to people that are hungry and gives it to people that needs medication or whatever it is that they needed or needed clothes? Who does that? I will be furious too. So the king here rubbed his head for a very long time and he shook his head. I will go crazy. After all the money that I had, given, I will be mad too. So the king was super mad here, very mad. And he sent for the merchant which had brought him and for the apostles and said to him, have you built me my palace? And he said, yes. Hey, Thomas. Yo. And the king said, when then shall we go and see it? But he answered the king and said, you can't see this palace now. Yo. But when you die, then you shall see it. So Thomas said, when you die, you will see your palace. Your palace is not here on this earth. You only see it when you die. And the king was furious. From the beginning, when they started planning, when they went to view the place where the palace was going to be viewed and all that, their language was different. They didn't understand. In fact, the king didn't understand what Thomas was talking about because Thomas was not talking about the palace here on earth. He was talking about the palace there in heaven, not here on this earth. And he sent for the merchant which had brought him, oh poor merchant, in for the apostle and said to him, have you built me my palace? Oh, sorry, I think I'm repeating the same thing here. And the king was very angry and commanded both the merchant and Judas Thomas to be put in chains and cast into prison until he should inquire and learn to whom the king's money had been given, and to destroy both him and the merchant. So now the king had no choice, according to himself, but to throw Thomas and the merchant into prison while he was inquiring what Thomas did with the money, and whom did he give the money to, or whom did he chow the money with. And so the apostle went to prison rejoicing and said to the merchant, "Don't fear anything, only believe in the God that I preach, and you shall indeed be set free from the world. But from the heavenly world to come, you shall receive life." Thomas was excited that he was being sent to the prison, and he encouraged the merchant to say, "You know what? Just believe in the God that I preach, because in the life to come you shall have life, but here on earth there is no life." Then the king, meanwhile, took thought with what death he should destroy them. And when he had determined to whip them alive and burn them afterwards with fire, that same night, Agag, the king's brother, fell ill and was very sick. And by his reasoning of his illness, curse, and the trickery of deceit which the king had suffered, he was greatly oppressed, and sent to the king and said to him, "Brother, O king, my brother, I give you my house and my children, for I am cursed by reason of the provocation that have befallen you. But listen, if I die and you don't have vengeance and the head of the sorcerer, you will give my soul no rest in hell." And the king said to his brother, "All night long I have considered how I should put him to death, and these have seemed good to me, to flay him and burn him with fire." Both him and the merchant which brought him. So now the king was very furious here. He wanted to flay him. When you flay someone, you sort of like, cutting, you peeling off their skin from their body, and after that burn him. That is how angry the king was, both him and the merchant which brought him. Then so he was going to do that to both of them. Then the brother of the king said to him, "And if there is anything else that is worse than this, do it to him, and I hand over my house and my children to you." And as they talked, the soul of this brother Gad departed, and the king mourned for Gad, for he loved him much, and commanded that he should be buried in royal and precious apparel tomb. Okay, tomb. Now, after these angels took the soul of Gad, the king's brother, and took it up into heaven, showing him the places and dwellings that were there, and inquired of him, "In which place would you like to dwell?" And when they drew near to the building of Thomas the apostle, which he had built for the king, God saw it and said to the angels, "I beg you, my lord, suffer me to dwell in one of the lowest rooms of this house." And they said to him, "You can't dwell in this building." And he said, "Why not?" And they say to him, "This is the palace which that Christian built for your brother." And he said, "I beg you, my lord, suffer me to go to my brother, that I may buy this special palace for him, for my brother doesn't know of these things, and he will sell it to me." So now, when Gad died, he went to heaven and he saw the palace that the apostle had built for the king. And as I said in the beginning, that he didn't understand the language that Thomas was talking, uh, because the king wanted to see the mansion here on this earth. He wanted to see the palace here on this earth, and the apostle was building in heaven. Like the Bible says that we shouldn't focus on building the mansions here on earth, but we should focus on building the mansions in the world to come, because we will live longer in the world to come more than we live here on earth, because we are pilgrimages here on earth. We are not here to stay, we are passing. Yet we have been taught to focus more on building, mansions here on earth, buying cars, buying clothes, buying all the glitz and the glams of this world, of which when we depart from this world, we leave everything here. We leave everything here. We don't take anything. We don't, even the t-shirt that I'm wearing, I will not take it with. As much as maybe they may clothe me with this t-shirt and even with my specs when they put me in to my casket or whatever, but I won't take it to heaven. The moment you die, the moment your spirit, departs from your body, immediately you are gone. Everything that you have here on earth, it is left here on earth. So now, that is why the word says that we shouldn't focus on those things, because this is how the devil has designed the systems of this world. The systems of this world have been designed by the devil himself. And that is why we are so much deceived that we will focus on material things more than we focus on our spiritual growth, on our connection with our Maker, with Yahweh. Because if you are not connected to Yahweh, then you are dead. You will die. And you are actually a living dead. You are a person walking in this earth, but you are dead. In reality, when you are not connected to God, you are not connected to Yeshua the Christ, you are dead already, because your life that you live here on earth is a life that is being ruled by the devil himself, that is ruled by the demonic forces, that is ruled by the fallen angels. You are a portal to the fallen angels. Actually, you give access to the evil spirits to come in and rule here. You must remember that the evil spirits, the fallen angels, they do not have a right to walk here on earth and have bodies here on earth like us. We are the ones that have been given authority and the power to be here on earth. But when we don't live in accordance to how God has told us to live, we live in sin. We become a portal of evil. We become a portal of fallen angels. We become a portal of all the demonic forces. And we think that we are okay. We are, living a life that is well and wealthy and having all the material things, all the while you are dead. When you don't have Yeshua the Christ in your life, you are dead. And when you die, you shall have eternal death. I will stop here because this lesson has been long as well. I will continue with this second act of Thomas next time. I thank you so much that you tuned in. See you next time. Cool. Bye.